Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald, Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream Networks. Today, our host is our good friend, Phil Bowers, Director of Marketing, and he will be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box so that Phil can answer them at the end of today's presentation. Phil, thank you so much for being with Microcom today. We are very happy to have you and looking forward to not only this webinar, but as our webinar tradition continues in 2024, here we are and happy to do it. So Phil, please go ahead and take it on over.
Thanks, Julie, and Happy New Year to everyone. Great to be with you again. I always, Julie and I were just chatting. I always look forward to these webinars. We'll keep doing them as long as we possibly can. So again, happy to be with everybody. Happy New Year. Hope everyone enjoyed the holidays, got a little bit of some rest and relaxation to start the year off fresh. And so today's webinar, really the pretty light topic, should be able to get through it pretty quickly today as well. Pretty much just going to give you an update on all of the new products that we have launched since our last webinar, which at least on my records was actually in August of last year. So we've got just about four or five new product categories that we've released since then that I'm going to go through here today. And then towards the end of the webinar, actually have some, kind of a new thing for our webinar series here. We'll touch on some major Grandstream news recently that might not be directly related to new products or whatnot. And then, as I've tried to do in a lot of our webinars in the past, I'm going to give you a sneak peek on what you can expect to see from Grandstream in the next 6 to 8 months or so. Obviously we just got out of our annual goal planning, strategy meetings, internal meetings, all that. We're really excited about our product portfolio and a lot of the stuff that we're doing this year. A lot of it's going to be really cool, brand new stuff that's going to continue to build, on this mission that we have of providing a one-stop shop for all business communication solutions. So anyway, let's get into today's webinar. Again, going to go through the new products that we've launched since our last webinar. And as you can see here from this main slide, probably the most important ones are some new layer 3 switches that we have come out with over the last couple of months. So let's just jump right into it. Actually, I forgot I had this slide in here. So, obviously we released 38 products last year. I believe the good majority of them, 30 plus, were on the networking side, and the majority of those were actually the network switches like we're here to talk about today. But really wanted to kind of, before we get into individual products, bring that whole GWN series home, just kind of give a good overview summary of it. Everybody that's known Grandstream that have been with us for a while, and we've talked about this before, our bread and butter, and really we built our name and our history on unified communications, IP phones, whatnot. And part of our mission over the years, and you've seen it just, over the last 20 years, the products that we've come out with, is all in this mission that I mentioned to provide a one-stop shop. And 5, 6, 7 years ago, our management looked at it as what is the next step for Grandstream to build on what we have, and frankly to enhance also our unified communications and VoIP products, and networking was that. It's our fastest growing product line by far. We now have, especially now that we have a full solution of switches, access points, wired routers, Wi-Fi routers, and a lot more of that to come this year. The great thing about we're finally able to really offer a full solution of everything that's going to need. At some point in time in this year, we should also do a webinar on how all of these solutions actually take your unified communications or VoIP solutions to the next level. Excuse me. It's actually a good idea. We should do that for the next webinar. But the totality of our networking solutions, adding on to what we're providing and what we're continuing to build on the unified communication side, we offer the 3-year warranty on all of our networking solutions, free management, which I actually have a big update for everybody on towards the end of the webinar, free cloud management, free on-premise management. Also, you can use the devices to manage themselves, fully secure out of the box, very easy installation. In many cases, all you got to do is scan the barcode on the access point or on the device as you're installing it. Lots of different remote management capabilities, tons of advanced features, VPNs, built-in QoS, which, to kind of give you a hint on a lot of the enhancement for the UC side, that QoS has actually a lot to do with it. But again, we should cover that in a separate webinar. And on kind of all of this, again, allowing us now to really offer this one-stop shop with our networking solutions, in addition to everything that we have with the unified communication solutions. Really a one-stop shop, again, for all of your business communication needs. And to transition into our topic here today, since our last webinar, the main products that we launched, I'm just looking at it here real fast, all going back here, right around the time of our last webinar, we launched our first ever layer 3 managed network switches, the GWN 7810 series, the one second from the left there. Since we launched that in August, we did add a 48 port model, so that's one of the things that I'm going to show you here today. The other major new product or launch since our last webinar is the products all the way over there on the left, the GWN 7830. These are layer 3 aggregation switches. These are the first aggregation switches that we've added to our switch portfolio. And as you can see from this this slide right here, with the addition of those 2 different layer 3 families, we now have literally a switch model for every possible need for the most part. We do have layer 2 light switches coming out this year. It's kind of the only gap in the portfolio right now. But we've got we've got a whole series, 11 different models of unmanaged switches, both traditional and multi-gig. We've got a whole series of layer 2, obviously layer 3, and now layer 3 aggregation switches to go along with it. So let me give you an idea of, or let me quickly go through here for you these new models. The 7830 series, there are 3 models in there. Those are aggregation switches, and also the new 7810 model since our last webinar, which is actually became our first, at the time we launched it. No, I'm sorry. It's a 48 port model. I was going to say it was the first 48 port model that we launched, but it was not. We did have a layer 2 previous to that. So anyway, I'll go through that. So again, the layer 3, the GWN 7830 series, these are our first aggregation switches, obviously layer 3 being the highest of all of the layers, giving you the most control, including the most, customization options for building networks, for managing traffic, whatnot. So within this series, there are 3 different models. You're either going to get 2 or 4 gigabit ports on them. You're going to get also going to get gigabit SFP ports, either 6 or 24. And the great thing about these aggregation switches is that they also give you the 10 gigabit SFP plus ports, either 4 or 12 of those. I'll break down the models for you here in a second. Obviously, fully manageable from GWN Cloud, which is our cloud management platform. GWN Manager, which is our on-premise management software. You can also use the web UIs of all of these devices. We also do support the command line interface, which a lot of people still like to use. You can certainly do that here. Just plug a computer right into that console port over there on the right, and you're good to go. Built-in QoS and VLAN right in the device for advanced segmentation network prioritization and segmentation. As I touched on it earlier, to kind of bring our UC and networking to worlds together a little bit. The QoS is something we've been making QoS for years because of everything we've done on the VoIP side, and it's allowed us to really build what we believe is one of the strongest QoSs on the networking side. And specifically because we have that UC VoIP background, our QoS is really optimized specifically to be able to allow you to prioritize voice traffic, video traffic, unified communications, or VoIP traffic over the network. Make sure that that gets priority. Lots of different customization there, but figured I'd mention that. And these devices give you the ability to support all the way up to 240 gigabits per second. Really kind of more medium to large business and enterprises are the ideal devices for these aggregation switches, which again really allow you to bring in and support and build large business enterprise networks with these aggregation switches, which give you, the most control, the most customization of any of the variety of network switches. So here's the model breakdown for you: 7830, 7831, 7832. So the 78, I'm just looking at this slide is reminding me about the breakdown of these models. So the 7830, 7831 over there on the left, those are each going to give you gigabit ports, gigabit SFP ports, and the 10 gigabit SFP plus ports. The 7832 on the right, all of the ports on that device, the 12 ports that you see, those are all 10 gig SFP plus ports. So that's really the high-end model within the series. That's going to be able to, give you the support for 240 gigs per second. That device, actually, no, excuse me, they all are metal devices, so they all have, metal enclosures. All of them are desktop wall or rack mountable. Comes with everything you need in the box for the rack mount. The 7831 does support an external redundant power supply, which is a great feature of that. Device. We do sell that external redundant power supply as well. I believe I will have to look into this, but I do believe that we'll work with other ones as well. So that kind of gives you that hot swappability. And then the 7832 on the right, the high-powered one, does have 2 integrated fans. The other 2 here do not actually need fans, so they don't have them integrated. So that's 7830, 7831, 7832. These devices, I believe, were out. So I'm going to transition from the layer 3 aggregation switches to the our standard layer 3 managed network switches. I believe that we covered these in our last webinar. I could be wrong about it. I will go through them real fast. The main thing, if you've been keeping up with us, the main new model here is the 7816, which is at a 48 port layer 3 model. That's really kind of the main thing there. So, little bit of a step down in terms of the total switching power and network power and customization from the aggregation, but obviously, other than the aggregation, this is as much control and customization as you're going to get. We got 7 different layer 3 models, variety of gigabit ports, variety of models that also add the gigabit SFP plus ports, the 10 gig ports. Same thing with the management, all from the cloud, from our on-premise software, using the CLI, using the web user interface of the device. Same thing with the QoS and the VLAN built in. And this series gives you the ability to support up to 216 gigs per second. And just, I would imagine you can figure out that the 216 gigs per second switching capacity will be on the new 48 port model. So here's just to show it real fast, the whole line. Again, 7 different models. These are layer 3 switches, 7816 and 7816P over there on the right, 48 ports. So you pretty much got 8, 16, 24, 48 gigabit ports. And then you can see as you look across there, a variety of SFP plus ports. SFP plus ports are on all models in this series, which is something to mention. Either 2, 4, 6 of those. The 7816 does support the hot swappable power supply as well. Yeah, you can look through the specs on here. The traditional 30. So again, any of the models you see that end in P are going to be PoE models. Any of the other ones are not. Any of our PoE models, or actually all of. Oh, excuse me. The 7811 and the 7812 P models both support 30 watts per port. The 7813P and 7816P actually support all the way up to 60 watts per port. That would be on the first 8 ports, and then all of the other ports after the first 8 ports on both of those devices will support the standard 30 watts per port in terms of PoE. You've got what, the 13P, 16, and 16P have integrated fans. All of these are desktop or rack mountable. A couple of them you can see are also wall mountable. And again, just like the previous models, all of our switches or any device that is rack mountable will come with the rack mount kit in the box. We talked about that. So yeah, this is really, again, if you've been keeping up with us, this is the main new model within the series. We launched this 48 port model on December 6th. So this is actually the most recent product that we have launched to date, or as of right now. You'll see a bunch this year, don't worry. So yeah, the 7816 is a 48 port model, adds a 48 port model to the Layer 3 series. The other great thing about our 48 port models is because, you know, we use a more powerful chip to be able to support the 48 ports. We're also able to add a lot of great enhanced reliability features. The data sheet for this product actually has an entire page, the last page, third page of it, of all of the different, this is a summary of it, but there are a lot of additional features that these 48 port models offer that the non-48 port models do not offer. And this is also true with our Layer 2 48 port switch. I believe it's the 7806. I have to double check on that. But the Layer 2 48 port model we have also supports all of these same enhanced reliability features, including the hot swappable power supply that I mentioned earlier. The ability to stack them, meaning that you can combine 16 of these devices and manage them all from one, essentially combine them wherever they are and manage them all from one interface while having the redundant backups between the network of up to 16 different switches. There's a variety of different enhanced reliability features built in here that really just allow the device to proactively, you know, keep an eye on the network and solve issues as they come up. If they come up, fault detection, device protection, dual boot up, dual system file redundancy, just, you know, in case, yeah, I think you can figure it, you know, obviously as a added protocol, security protocol, to make sure you're not losing any configurations like that. Variety of support for link aggregation across the board, storm control, a lot more. The other great thing about these 48 port switches, you know, they obviously use a lot of processing power, do have the integrated fans in them. But, you know, one of the questions we actually always get about that is, how do you control the fan? The fans at times, you know, anyone that's operated a switch of this size can tell you, can use up a lot of electricity actually. And we have a green energy efficiency feature built in that allows the device and gives it intelligent control of that fan, basically allows it to adjust the fan, only run it when needed, essentially. I believe through the web user interface, you can also actually control the precise temperature of the device as well. But again, it's really built to only use the fan when it needs to. So hot swappable power supply, the ability to stack them, those enhanced reliability features, and kind of the smart, intelligent fan, some great features that are added into the 7816P. Also, again, these are all available in all of our 48 port models. A lot of these features not available in the non-48 port models. Yeah, so as I've mentioned a couple of times here, I'm going to tease something I'm going to mention on a slide coming up. The great thing about all of our networking solutions, just like our UC solutions, is we have a variety of different really carrier grade free management solutions available for you. whether you want to use the cloud, whether you prefer on-premise software, which is what GWN Manager is, or if you have a smaller network, the ability to use the local web user interface. To give you, kind of a sneak peek on a slide I have coming up, and some of you may already be familiar with this if you use GWN Cloud. We are just recently, this week actually, combined GWN Cloud and GDMS. GDMS, the Grandstream Device Management System, that is what most people will know as our UC or our VoIP cloud device and network management platform. GWN Cloud is our networking, wired and wireless networks, VPNs, etc., management solution. And we are bringing those together, merging them into one. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second, but since we have this slide, did want to mention that. But again, you still do have the cloud option, the software option, or using the device themselves as management for all of our networking solutions. I'll leave this slide up just since I've got it. Another great thing about layer 3 switches, and as you work your way up there, just gives you the ability to have more control over it. And we've added a ton of different security, protection, and encryption into those layer 3 switches, layer 3 aggregation switches, a lot of it mentioned here. It's really a lot of the traditional, security protection you would expect, but a lot of added into it. DOS protection, land attack, Smurf attack, ping flooding, a whole bunch of different features like that, DHCP snooping, et cetera, et cetera. We talked about most of this. Looks like we're actually making pretty good time here. Just flying through some of this stuff because we've already talked about it. I've talked a lot about the QoS here today. Obviously, these layer 3 switches, I believe the layer 2 switches also give you the ability to have full control of QoS. Bottom layer there, the auto detection prioritization of voice, video, and other. It says pending. It is supported. But again, because we have such a long history on the UC side, we have a long history also with QoS. And the QoS for both our UC and our networking products, we believe are as strong as it gets. And so to wrap up the layer 3 switch conversation that we're having here, and move into a couple other products as we begin to work our way towards the end here. Like I mentioned, because these switches have the ability to support so much, fast speeds, switching capacity, the SFP plus ports built into most of them, the layer 3 control or the aggregation control. These devices, the layer 3 switches, are really ideal for medium and large businesses and enterprises. Gives you full control, gives you the ability to support the fastest speeds possible, gives you the ability to really support a lot of devices very easily, using the layer or the 48 ports to stack devices together, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so let's move on. A couple of other products unrelated to networking switches, or actually networking products that we did release at the last couple of months of last year that I did want to highlight here. The first one being a new decked base station. We released this, I'm looking at my calendar here, September 28th. So basically just before the beginning of October last year. The easy way for, I list the features there. The easy way for me to describe this to you, and the easy way to remember this model is our highest end decked base station. We have 2 others that we also sell. One of them is kind of the first generation of our decked solutions. The other one was the second. And I would say this is actually the beginning of the 3rd generation of our decked solutions. As I'll mention in a couple of slides, we have a couple of different decked handsets, brand new, rethought, redesigned decked handsets coming out this year. They will obviously pair with all of our handsets, all of our base stations, but this one right here is and will be moving forward the highest end base station we offer. What makes it high end? It supports up to 20 different SIP accounts and 20 lines per handset. I believe our current ones are either 5 or 10 lines and accounts per handset, or per So it says per handset, but that's per system also. So basically, this is double the most amount of SIP accounts or lines we previously supported on a base station. Compare up with up to 10 of our decked handsets. I believe previously the maximum was 5. Gives you an outdoor range of 400 or 350 meters, depending on which handset you use. And I should point out that our base stations, our decked base stations, only work with Grandstream decked handsets. You got the outdoor range mentioned there, indoor range 50 meters. You know, one of the things that we like to promote and talk about is that our decked system has built in push to talk, which, you know, a lot of times you're seeing decked used in a warehouse, in a hospital, in a hotel, in a you know, in an office building, in a warehouse. Sorry if I said one of those already. But you know, this gives people the ability to push a button and easily and instantly get in touch with people, and that's functionality built right into not only the base station but also built into all of our handsets. Yeah, so again, DP755, it's been out now for just about 3 months. It is the our newest decked base station, and it is the highest end one that we offer in terms of the amount of devices, the amount of lines, and the amount of SIP accounts that it does support. And as I mentioned just now, and as I'll mention here in just a minute, we are also launching a couple of different new decked handsets this year, redesigned, reimagined. Actually saw one last week, looks pretty cool. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But again, the DP755 launched in end of September, our highest end decked base station. So the other product, and actually the last thing here before I wrap up with a couple of just, you know, general Grandstream news pieces that we wanted to mention, as well as giving you a preview of some of the new stuff you'll see this year. Last new product that is, again, fully available. Everything we're talking about here thus far and up to this slide is fully available. We launched new analog FXO gateways at the end of last year. Let me give you a specific date on that. Also at the end of September. So this is the HT841 and the HT881. The 841, the 4 means it has 4 FXO ports. The 881, the 8 just means it has 8 FXO ports. Excuse me. Built-in NAT routers, Lifeline support built in, 3-way voice conferencing, provisioning, using the traditional TRO69 automated, also can, I believe, do it through our cloud platform. Failover SIP server built in, you know, AES encryption. Essentially, this is a large analog telephone adapter with either 4 or 8 ports, as you can probably figure out. Especially from the naming there, the HT series is actually the longest running series that we currently have. You know, they go back to the early days of Grandstream 22 years ago. The first products that we ever made were analog telephone adapters and 1 and 2 line IP phones. This isn't actually up for debate. We've done a lot of research and contracted people to do research on this. We are the largest and leading provider of analog telephone adapters in the world. Obviously, you know, it's not a super sexy product, but especially here in the United States, it's been flying off the shelves the last couple of years with a lot of these new laws that are requiring basically PSTN to be retired, to have some type of VoIP backup. These things are flying off the shelf. You know, we were frankly in a fortunate position. You know, we had won a lot of different business with ITSPs over the years all over the world. Some of the largest providers are using Grandstream ATAs. They just might not say Grandstream on them. So this is, you know, continuing that legacy, 4 and 8 port models, analog FXO gateways, but again, really just large analog telephone adapters with either 4 or 8 ports. So that's the HT841, HT881, both fully available right now, launched at the end of September of last year. All right, so Only a couple of slides here, so we'll wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. Wanted to finish up here by giving you a couple of pieces of recent news that were big and important to us that I thought I'd pass along. And then my last slide will give you, we'll kind of give you a sneak peek of what's to come from Grandstream this year. So as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I was going to say we're in the process. I believe it is fully complete at this point. Everything's been moved over. We have merged our two different cloud management platforms. GWN Cloud, which was our free networking, free platform for setting up, managing wireless and wireless networks, using our access points, our network switches, our routers, everything within that category. And then GDMS, which has been out, many of you probably have been using GDMS for a long time. GDMS is the Grandstream device management system. This was the first cloud management system we launched. Both of these platforms run on Amazon or AWS, by the way. And so the GDMS traditionally, or not traditionally, has always been for our unified communications, our VoIP products, IP phones, UCMs, the whole, unified communications of VoIP networks. And so we have been planning on this for a long time. We are rolling them together. You can now access both of these platforms from one location with just one login. You no longer need to go to two separate places to access both of these, and you no longer need separate logins for them. We actually have a couple of videos that we just posted on our YouTube page that kind of walk you through the process. If you do have accounts of how the merge process works, it's all automatic. It all happens, within our system. You just have to kind of go in and, trigger that. And so everybody knows, the long term, moving forward, the main name that we will use is GDMS, the Grandstream Device Management System. GWN Cloud and all of its features and functionality is being rolled into GDMS, so that moving forward you can manage, set up, provision, manage all of your both wired and wireless networks and unified communications and VoIP networks, all from one management interface with one login. Will continue to be free. We are not there. I can promise you we will never charge for this. It is really one of our big value adds, is this carrier grade enterprise management system. We have some of the largest service providers in the world that are using GDMS currently. So we're excited to bring both of these platforms together. You'll continue to, GWN.cloud, the URL will be around for a while. When we get rid of it in 6 months or so, it'll just redirect you to GDMS. But once you log in, it's the same combined merged platform, and you can just kind of switch between your VoIP networks and your VoIP UC networks and your wired and wireless network setups within this platform. Again, fully free. All the features and functionality we can add into it. As I mentioned, we've got some of the biggest service providers in the world using it. So again, that's big piece of news that I wanted to mention. Bringing our two management platforms together. Once you log in now, it is the same one merge platform. You can access both from one location with one login. And again, we've got some videos up on our YouTube channel that go into more details on this and show you how it works. If you are a user of either platform, you should have gotten a bunch of emails over the last month or so notifying you that this was coming. Again, there's nothing that anybody has to do. It's all automatic merge. Just log in and check out your platform or check out your networks. So that's one piece of news. Another piece of news that we wanted to pass along. I think it was October of last year, we were able to achieve Zoom recommended hardware status with Zoom. Zoom, obviously, I think most people know 4 or 5 years ago, actually, it was actually right before COVID launched, Zoom Phone, which was a whole VoIP platform, runs on Zoom. And just I believe it was the beginning of last year or the end of 2022, they rolled Zoom Phone into their traditional Zoom offering. I believe it's called Zoom One now. So technically, anybody that has a paid Zoom platform has access to a Zoom VoIP or Zoom Unified Communications voice platform, essentially phone platform. And you know, we've been working with Zoom on that from day one. We've had our devices certified for a while, but now the major update here is if you go to their website, if you go look at the devices that Zoom recommends, you will see all of these Grandstream devices there. GRP 2602, GRP 2616 as IP phones. The WPA10 is a Wi-Fi IP phone, which I believe on their website is actually mentioned as an other SIP device. The GXV 3470 and GXV 3480, those are our Android video phones. Those are recommended as Zoom meeting appliances, which actually means that you can natively run the Zoom app, not just the phone app, but the regular Zoom app on these devices and hold and host meetings right from those devices. And we will soon have all of that same certification on the GAC 2570, which is our Android conference phone that you see in the middle there. So something pretty exciting. We've seen actually a lot of traction with Zoom Phone, specifically last year, specifically in the second half of the year. You know, Zoom, you know, from a platform standpoint, is one of the most used application services in the world. A lot of people, you know, either don't know that they have the ability to utilize their Zoom platform to get this whole free phone system. A lot of people are also utilizing it and really just starting to build that out. So something we wanted to mention, something we hope you come across in your own efforts and whatnot throughout the course of the year, is hopefully people looking to build out their Zoom phone platforms. And we have not only achieved you know, certification, but we've received the highest level of recommendation on these devices from Zoom. All right, this is the last slide that I got here. And like I mentioned earlier, and like I try to do on a regular basis, wanted to give you a sneak peek of what's coming. Everything that you see here on this slide is expected to launch in the first half of this year. Some of these are brand new product or new product categories, new concepts. Some of these are just continuing to add and build out the portfolios that we have. So you'll see some new color screen hotel phones. You see those pictures on the bottom there. Our GHP series was probably the single product category that surprised us the most last year. We saw massive growth within the hotel IP phone sector. It's frankly something we probably should have, excuse me, gotten into earlier. There's traditionally really one other manufacturer that we come across within this category. And we've been able to come in with lower prices, better features. A lot of our Wi-Fi or hotel phones have built-in Wi-Fi, for example. These ones do, which, you know, as everything goes wireless is really becoming a popular deployment model for hotel phones. But anyway, so, you know, wanted to mention that. Keep an eye out for those hotel phones. These are going to be in the high end of our hotel phone series. It'll be the GHP Grandstream hotel phone, GHP 630 and 631. Both in black and white with Wi-Fi and non-Wi-Fi options, should be available here within the next couple of months. As I mentioned earlier, we have some new decked handsets coming out. In the top row there, I guess right to the left of the 2024 sneak peek text, is an image of one of them. These are completely redesigned from our current series of deck phones. I would say that these models are extremely slim would be slim would be the word I would use. Slim, compact, easy to fit in a pocket. I got my hands on one of these last week, put it next to my iPhone 14, and in height it was a little bit shorter, and probably about 2/3 of the width of the phone. So pretty slim, pretty compact, but very sturdy and substantial at the same time. Whole new look and feel. I think it has a much sleeker look to the ones that we have now. That will be out within the next couple of months as well. We also, along with the new deck models, have some new Wi-Fi cordless models coming out, both a really high-end model, couple of mid-tier models, really just continuing to build out our cordless Wi-Fi P phone portfolio, add some models with some incremental features and pricing that fills gaps of what we have right now. That is actually within the unified communications, within the VoIP sector. We are expecting to see more growth from these cordless Wi-Fi P phones than pretty much any of our other product categories on that side of the business, specifically within the next couple of years. And it was the largest growing UC category for us last year. The Android-based video intercom and control station. This is actually something I'm really excited about. We worked on this a couple of years ago, decided to kind of go back to the drawing board. So we've been working on this for a while. So for those of you that know, I think it's the GSC 3570. It is a control panel station. That is what we currently have out right now. This is taking that and making it Android. So, giving you from this device, which has Wi-Fi built in, touchscreen panel, ability to have a dedicated video intercom station, security station to check up on, live feeds on all the cameras, to dispatch calls, to, keep in touch and monitor our GDS facility access door stations, for example. And what this adds, because it's Android, is it also gives you potentially the ability to control a lot of a office's, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of the regular functions and functionality around the office. A lot of HVAC systems can be controlled by an app. Conference room systems can be controlled by an app, lighting, et cetera, et cetera. That's what this device adds because of its Android functionality. The ability to not only be a video intercom or security control station or door intercom control station, but also the ability to manage all of your, everything going on within the office from an Android app on this device. Again, HVAC, lighting, conference room systems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Got some new layer 2 light switches coming out. I think I mentioned that earlier. Those will also be out in the next couple of months. The video intercom, by the way, I think we're targeting probably towards the middle of the year. We'll say May, July, somewhere in that time frame. The layer 2, new layer 2 light switches that are coming out should be out here within the next month or so. And there's actually an outdoor weatherproof model in that. These are cloud managed layer 2 light switches. They'll be, the traditional look switches looking like the ones I showed you earlier. But again, we will also have some outdoor IP66, IP67 certified, weatherproof, dustproof, all that stuff within that layer 2 light series. That's the first outdoor switch that we have. We've got some new Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E access points coming out this year. So yeah, we are, integrating and moving on up to Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 6E, while we kind of wait and see what happens with Wi-Fi 7. There'll be both new indoor and outdoor access point models. So yeah, all the stuff that I just mentioned there should be out here within the next couple of weeks, within the next couple of months. The last thing here, last two things are just some teasers, I would say. We have what I would call the most innovative product Grandstream has ever developed coming out within the next 3 to 6 months. There'll be a couple of different models. And the best way that I can describe it or what I can tell you about it now is this will be a product that will allow you to build and manage both unified communications and wired and wireless networks, as well as cybersecurity setups all from one location in one integrated solution. That's the preview I'll give you of it now. Keep an eye on it, or keep an eye out. We've got a lot more teasers coming out soon. But we all truly believe it is maybe the most innovative product that we've ever come out with. Something that isn't really out on the market right now, but it's something that we think really has the ability to really change the way almost everybody within the channel sets up, builds, deploys, and manages communication platforms. We also, in addition to that, have a whole new product category, and I actually mentioned it a moment ago. I just probably shouldn't have, but not that I shouldn't have. We're just, not putting it out there that early or thus far. You'll see, again, like the previous solution that I mentioned, you'll see some more news on this pretty soon. Both of these are really things that just add to our solution, continue to allow our solution to move to the next level, to do more and more for you and for your customers. So again, went through a whole bunch of products you'll see here within the next couple of months, and also, again, a little sneak peek, most innovative product that you've ever seen from us, at least that I expect you will see, coming out pretty soon, as well as a whole new product category that really stems and fits in perfectly with everything else we offer. All right, so I apologize for kind of dragging the last couple of slides on there. Didn't realize I had that much to say about some of those stuff, but as you can see, we're pretty excited about everything that we've got going on here. We've got a lot of different plans in the works for this year. We launched 38 products last year. I think we're shooting for something similar this year. A lot of new stuff, a lot of stuff that takes what we're doing to the next level. Some really cool, innovative stuff that you mentioned, and then a lot of other, traditional products that you're used to seeing from us that fill in the gaps in the portfolio that we currently have. So again, apologies for going longer than I expected there. About 20 minutes ago, I thought we were going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. I kind of dragged the last couple of slides on. So apologies for that, but hope everybody got some good info out of that. And with that wraps up my presentation. I'll turn it over to Julie for any questions.
Thank you very much, Phil, and you are forgiven. Don't worry. You are one of our most favorite vendors, so thank you for all of that wonderful information with today's presentation. Very happy to see it all and the way you presented it and how we got some good stuff on the horizon, which of course, by the time we have our next webinar, you could probably divulge much more information.
For sure.
And okay, terrific. And with that, I do have some questions for you. Let's get started with the first one. How does Grandstream ensure security in the GWN series, particularly in wireless networking?
Yeah, so we're going to support all of the same Wi-Fi security protocols that pretty much any vendor is out there is going to support. And the thing that we actually add a whole bunch on top of that, and I'm trying to bring it up specifically here on my phone, basically a whole bunch of different, just trying to think off the top of my head, secure boot, random default password, things that basically kind of take the next step on what you're going to get from other manufacturers, making sure that, for example, the random default password, a random security certificate is probably a better one, where every one of our devices has a different security certificate. So if for any reason one of those devices goes down, you can't basically get into any of the other devices. They're not impacted by it. We have a secure boot that is a feature built into all of our networking devices, which basically when the device is kind of constantly keeping in touch with the different layers of it, and if it senses that anything is off, it will automatically shut that down. We have a variety of additional network security features and control and customization that's built into all of our switches. Obviously, the higher end you go, layer 3 and layer 3 aggregation is going to give you the most security control there. But yeah, I think that's, in addition to standard ones that everybody offers, the Wi-Fi protocol encryption. We're also going to add in all of those extra features to allow the devices to always be constantly monitoring each other, to make sure that the devices, even if they're on the same network, are not, they're not necessary. If you get into one, you can't get into the other. Protects the whole network. I could probably, I'm sure there's a better explanation for everything that I just said. But that's those are the couple of things that we add into network security, in addition to what you're going to get from most other manufacturers.
Thank you so much for that, Phil. Next question here for you. How does Grandstream ensure high availability and reliability in layer 3 aggregation switches?
I'm going to be completely honest. I think that's probably a better question for one of our support guys, or somebody on the engineering side of it. Yeah, that I hate to push the question off, but I'm not sure I'm the best one to answer specifically technically how we make it happen. Obviously, I can tell you that, we support it. We do sell the redundant power supplies. I believe that we'll also work with third-party ones as well. Support the hot swapping on some models. But in terms of technically how that works, I think I'd have to get one of our support guys involved.
No problem. Thank you so much, for that, Phil. And perhaps we could just ask it again in the future and see what we got going on there. Next question, of course. Next question here that I have for you. Let's see. Can you provide insights into the VLAN and QoS features of GWN 7810 switches?
So the QoS, I'll be honest, I'm much more well versed on the QoS side of it than the VLAN side of it. I would actually probably, the best thing to do is refer you to our blog. We had one of the guys on our team, Brian, wrote a blog post, I believe it was in December or November, that went through specifically VLANs, how they work, how they're set up. We actually have a ton of different documentation in our documentation center about that. But that blog in the blog section of our website is probably the best resource for that. In terms of the QoS, like I mentioned, we've been working with QoS for so long because of the UC side that, we were very easily able to bring it over to the VoIP side as well. And the main thing, it gives you a lot of control, the ability to kind of really choose what type of traffic, what traffic you might want to limit, what stations you might want to limit, what should be prioritized, etc. And the best example I think that we always give, again, because of our history on the UC and the VoIP side of things, is it gives you the ability to prioritize voice calls or video conferences, for example, through a network, so that those critical business communications aren't being impacted by somebody surfing the web, for example, or vice versa. If some offices are pretty much doing most of their communications through computers and desktop software and whatnot. So to prioritize the connections to those workstations, for example. So yeah, I guess that's the quick overview on the QoS. And for the VLAN, as I mentioned, definitely check out that blog, and our documentation center will have a ton of different how-to guides and walkthroughs on the VLAN side of things. I actually think we also have some YouTube videos that touch on that. I think that probably also touch on QoS. And while I'm thinking about it, we have within the last couple of months of last year started to work with our support team to regularly publish product updates or video how-to guides that walk you through how to take advantage of some of these major features, especially as we're increasing what we're doing on the networking side. I'm almost positive there is also a video guide up there for setting up and utilizing VLANs on our devices.
Thank you, Phil. Last question here for you. What is the roadmap for future updates or releases in the GWN series? I know you may have touched on this a little bit, but if you could just give us one more overview and roadmap, we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. I like I said, it's our fastest growing product category. We released 38 products last year, and I believe 29 or 30, somewhere around there, were GWN products. And the great thing, so what I would say what we did last year is we really built out the GWN portfolio. We now have a large portfolio of Wi-Fi access points, both indoor and outdoor, both Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. One of the things that we'll be doing this year is continuing to build out more Wi-Fi 6 access points and Wi-Fi 6E access points at different price points that kind of give you more flexibility or functionality. With Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E access points, basically to either to have models that will prioritize having more devices connected versus having models that will kind of prioritize having faster speeds. We built out the the network switch portfolio last year. We released a variety of, we had Wi-Fi routers, but last year we released a series of Wi-Fi wired routers, excuse me. So last year was really building out and kind of filling in a lot of the portfolio. You'll see more of that this year. Again, like I mentioned, some more Wi-Fi 6 and 6E access points. We've got some layer 2 managed light switches coming up. I would say the other major roadmap look ahead or kind of evolution of that GWN series, or solutions that integrate with it, are actually some of the things, the kind of 2 new things that I mentioned there at the end without going into too much detail. But to give you a little bit more, since you asked about it, one of those product categories is going to be a solution that allows you to build, manage, control, deploy both wired and wireless networks and unified communications VoIP networks, all from one place with one solution, one interface to do all of that. So that is, I would say one of the next major roadmap updates or evolution is of the GWN series is building in some more functionality that allows it to do more actually than just support your traditional wired and wireless networks. We also have some different network security products coming out this year. That was the other one, the other new thing that I mentioned there. So that's, continuing to kind of fill in some of the gaps of the portfolio, but I'd say this year is more focused on kind of expanding it, taking it to the next level, providing products and solutions that expand the integrations, allow the GWNs to do more, while also adding a security, an additional security element into it.
Bill, thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And if anyone does have any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please remember that this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again. Thank you, Phil, so much for all of your valuable information today. We greatly appreciate it, and looking forward to the next webinar with you. I'll be sure to contact you so we can figure out exactly when that will be. So have a fantastic day, everybody. Appreciate your attendance. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye now.